Welcome back, everybody. This is a video that is 5 or 6 years in the making now. About 5 or 6 years ago, I bought this compressor on Kijiji for $400, which awesome deal, right? Working compressor, 5 horsepower motor, 2-stage pump, 60-gallon tank, brand new in Canada. Those are anywhere from like $2,500 to $4,500, depending on what you're getting, really. However, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. The compressor pump sprayed oil everywhere. The piston rings were shot. I took it all apart, had the whole pump apart, all laid out nicely, had all the footage of it, and ultimately it didn't make sense to rebuild it when it was about $900 for a new pump. So, today I'm going to go over with you what I've done to get it to this point, and we're just going to finish plumbing it in and hopefully have a working compressor. Let's get to it. So, to date, I actually haven't done a lot of work to this thing. Last night, I did a couple things, though. I relocated my electrical box. It was situated right here, and that just didn't work with the footprint of the new pump. So I also drilled a few new holes to get this guy mounted up, made sure everything was in line. However, we do have some adjustment here. Today, I went out, I picked up a few parts. I grabbed a new pulley. There are RPM calculators online to make sure your drive pulley lines up with your RPM, which equates to your new drive pulley and the RPM of your pump. So if you need to do that calculation, it's pretty easy to do by hand, or there's calculators online. Simple to do. So picked up a new pulley. We've got a new belt, a few other odds and ends. I don't think I'm actually going to need this. I'll return that, and I might actually have some keyed stock too. So we might be good there, but I got the fittings I need here to run a 1/2-inch OD line. Now that will be a restriction before anyone chimes in. I'm well aware that's going to be a restriction. Princess Auto didn't have anything else, and ultimately I just want to get this thing running well enough that I can spray my next few projects, because people might chime in here and say, Phil, you only spray small things in your garage. That's correct, but even for small things, a little 20-gallon compressor has not been cutting it for me. I get massive pressure drops at my guns. I do run SATAs, which are air hogs. However, I also want to be able to run supplied air in my next couple jobs, because they're going to be slightly bigger, still small, but slightly bigger, and this is going to allow me to run both my air hood and my paint gun. Running a piston style compressor and an air hood, another sort of round of problems you can have there, but I'll get into that in another video. So back on track there, running the 1/2-inch line. I know it's going to be a restriction. However, I don't want to keep this tank forever. I do want to go to a vertical tank eventually. This will become the compressor of Theseus. None of the original parts, except for the motor, are actually going to be original, but is what it is. It's going to get me running for now. I'm going to be able to get rid of that compressor, get rid of this workbench, clear up a little bit of clutter in here, because, yeah, you guys have seen my garage if you watch my videos. It's full of stuff. So let's get to it. Let's start bending some tube, get this thing mounted up, and see if it works. To start off, I straightened out my copper tube by hand, and then I tried to bend it around some aluminum tube, which started to kink it. However, I noticed the V-groove in my pulley was perfect for making nice, larger radius bends, a little bigger than I wanted, but it ended up working perfectly. Well, guys, not my most beautiful work, but managed to do that without kinking it at all. Using that pulley there seemed to work well. Again, like I said, not my prettiest work, but she will get me by. So I'll have to do some minor adjusting once I get one of the ends here attached, but we're pretty close to where we need to be. To get my copper compression fittings to mate to the compressor head here, I had to use a few brass reducers and a couple wraps of Teflon tape on each one. So, first hiccup of the night, unfortunately this adapter here, which obviously came with the compressor, is a fine thread on the top here. And everything else I have is coarse, unfortunately. So this is what I had purchased to thread on there. No bueno. So we'll just continue along with the other side, get to where we can. And then that'll be pretty much it for tonight. Maybe we can swap some pulleys and get the belts on though. So I did a little further inspection here to make sure everything's good, and nope, the check valve, she's a little crusty there, friends. So luckily these are on Amazon for like $30. I'm not sure why they go to a fine thread on the top. The ones I found online do as well. I assume exhaust tubes, which is the name of the tube coming off the compressor pump to the tank. I assume they're just a standard fine thread, and you can get stainless braided ones, which are pretty nice. I just couldn't find any in a reasonable amount of time to go that distance that I needed. So when we eventually get a new tank and make her spick and span, we'll definitely get some nicer components, but for now our copper will work. So I'll touch base with you guys tomorrow when we get those new parts in and we can finish this up. And thanks to the magic of the internet and overnight ordering, we have this guy, which is the direct replacement from Milton. That is the 1091-2. and it's not going to work for us. So I ended up driving to a couple stores, looking online for a few hours trying to figure out what the heck this fine thread is on the top. Turns out it is a compression fitting for a copper tube, similar to sort of what's going on there, but slightly larger, and it's not going to work for us. It's been like 2 years since I took this compressor apart back when I had the old pump, and I just didn't recall what was on there. So this is not going to work for us. Shout out to the compressor guru. I'll send a link to his video where he describes all the different check valves and the different styles, because that's where I figured out this issue. So I went on to Amazon again, ordered this PowerMate one. Not quite as fancy, it's not rebuildable, but hey, it was like 20 bucks. It's going to do what we're going to need it to. It's got the MPT threads on the inside. Let's put this together. So same deal as on the compressor head. We had to add a few reducers after the check valve there, and then a few wraps of Teflon tape on each reducer. Now once all that's in place, we can get our copper tube in place there using those compression fittings to hold everything nice and snug. Back onto the other side of the compressor here, we're going to use my 3-jaw puller to remove that split bushing and pulley, which gave me a little bit of a fight, and actually I'd use that 3-jaw puller to seat the new pulley onto that split bushing. Once that was all in place, we got the new belt on there, and I used a little bottle jack and just tensioned everything up. And there we go, guys, all buttoned up. As you saw, I threw a little bottle jack in there to just stretch everything out. Got good tension on our belt there, just a little bit of deflection. I think the last thing we have to do here is just top off some oil because these come empty. So I'll throw some oil in there, and then we're going to test this thing out. All right, guys, moment of truth here. I'm going to stand clear. As you see, I don't have a guard on there yet. All right, and this is going to be a direct start as soon as I plug it in. However, my breaker is right there if I need to shut it off. All right, let's see. And for the sake of your computer speakers here, I'm going to kill the sound there. One big thing I can say is that it's remarkably quiet compared to what I expected. Obviously my camera's just picking up that drone, sounds quite noisy, but from outside of the garage 10 feet away, you can hear a bit of a rumble, but ultimately it's not going to be a nuisance to my neighbors or my wife or my kids or the dog. So overall, I'm quite happy. Now my pressure switch on this is set rather low. Now this tank is from the 80s, and horizontal tanks like this, it's almost always impossible to drain out 100% of the moisture unless the tank is completely level. And in this case, she's pretty crusty inside, so I'm keeping that pressure switch set fairly low because I don't want to make a makeshift bomb in my garage because that would be no bueno. So until we get a new tank, this is going to do the trick. I'm pretty stoked about it. All right, guys, so I was just about to step outside and see how noisy it was outside because honestly, guys, like half the volume of that little thing over there. This thing's like remarkably quiet. Color me impressed. But yeah, so we're just over 100 pounds of pressure in there. I might bump it up a tiny bit, but honestly, I'll try spraying a little bit and then we'll test from there. But yeah, everything's holding. There's no leaks, which makes me happy too. So yeah, this is good. I think that about wraps it up here. I had a ton of fun rebuilding this, getting it going, and I actually just finished spraying my first project with it, and it turned out pretty cool. So for those of you here for the painting content, don't worry. I've got a couple cool videos coming out right away. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like button, and if you want to see future content, be sure to subscribe as well. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.